Hey everyone, it's Rowan. I'm here with Jessica. I'm going to leave, as always, with these collab videos, all the links in the description. But the reason why I had Jessica on the channel was because I have this new video series that I'm starting, which is to do with femininity and femme identities, and talking to various people about them while they make me over in their particular style.
Yes.
What would you say your style is?
I had my style classified by Annie Eleni. I wasn't aware of it beforehand, but apparently it's called high femme.
I mean, I would agree with that. That makes sense.
I've never heard of that term, but then I heard it was like, oh, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, okay.
But like really specific, like you're high femme, but then you have like a very specific like vintage.
Oh, yes.
Like,
okay, so it's like, it's vintage high femme. I have this weird thing where I think it's very feminine, but I wouldn't say girly.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this and your identity and all that kind of jazz while you're doing my makeup. So before we get started, I'm going to ask one quick first question, which is, when did you start to dress like this, or this be your style? Was it
Everyone
always a
asks
thing?
me
Or was
this.
it like, well, 2 years ago I had an epiphany?
I used to wear jeans, and then I thought, no. I don't remember a start date. I think I was always a bit of an oddball. I was an eccentric dresser, we'll say that. I was always eccentric. I very much remember wearing like a twin set and pearls when I was about...
That's adorable.
15.
Classic, of course.
As you do. I used to wear Alice in Wonderland dresses when I was a child.
That's cute.
That was my thing. This is quite funny. I don't pick an era. People are like, oh, did you choose the 1950s? I'm like, no. I just buy the things that I like and that I think suit my body, and they just all happen to look like they came from the 1950s.
Fair. So would you say, so like vintage is something that you would say, or are you like, it just happens to be vintage? Just happens like that.
So I've curled my hair always because I have naturally incredibly straight hair.
Yeah.
You can't tell today, but I have naturally incredibly straight hair and I don't like it. So I always curled it. I used to rag it. Like a Victorian child. And then the wonder of sponge rollers came into my life. Pin curling. Always been a pin curling fan. And it just happened to look really 1950s. I do think I accidentally fell through a wormhole at some point. I'm not gonna lie. No, I think I was probably just born later than I should have been, but I'd be dead.
But you're like, yeah, very
if
grateful.
I'd been born in
You're
the 50s.
Like, I'd be dead, and also I'm gay, and therefore that would have been the funnest thing, and a woman, so
disabled,
it's not the best.
Gay, doing much better in this new century. Thank you. Yes.
So I currently have my foundation is down.
Yes.
So you have a blank slate to work with.
They're not really done.
No.
You need to foundation your lips.
Okay.
Because how else will we get a crisp outline, Rowan?
A question I've never asked myself before.
Yeah, so we basically just get rid of your lips.
Okay.
Sorry, sometimes I hum because I can't hear myself hum. So I'm deaf, if you didn't know. So sometimes I hum, but then I realise I've been humming. But it's probably terrible and out of tune because I can't tell.
No, it was nice.
There you go.
Thank
Put that
you.
one away. We're going to pin back your fringe, so I have access to all of your head.
Okay, go for it.
Face. All of your face. This is amazing.
I do my fringe before I do my makeup, so it's going to be like a surprise.
You have less forehead than I thought.
Yeah, I have a really low forehead. I have a really low forehead, Jessica. Okay,
your forehead was bigger. I am going to do something better with this, obviously. Later.
What are you talking about? This is the end style.
Like...
Oh, hey guys. So we're doing this question for you. Since mentioning disability,
yes,
how does your like femme identity or femininity like intersect with that? Does it have a relationship?
I mean, that's always a good question. It's always a good one. In some ways, it helps it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get better treatment from doctors.
Okay.
Unequivocally. I do.
Because you look like put together, or how does that?
I guess I look incredibly non-threatening. Yeah. I literally found when I was in hospital, if I curled my hair and put lipstick on, they would be much kinder on ward rounds than if I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that could go either way, because I feel like if you look too put together, it could be like, well, you seem like you're doing great.
Yes, so that is also a concern. And then another sort of problem with it is that I look apparently like an idiot. So there's always that kind of misogyny and there's a bit of ageism and all of that thrown in together, I suppose. And people tend to think that I don't know what on earth I'm talking about and I can't be educated or cultured. And they assume things about the things I like to talk about or the things I know about.
So what kind of stuff do you feel like people think you should be interested in or that you want to talk about? Normally?
It's more that they just don't talk to me about important things. Okay. So doctors will kind of be like, and they might talk to the person I'm with.
Okay.
I mean, partially that's probably also a deaf thing. And obviously if you're in a wheelchair, they will always talk to the person you're with.
Is that weird then that you sort of have different things that people might use to infantilize you or to treat you like that, and it's kind of a bit like, well, I don't know which one of them is making you do this.
I often find that very thing, that I'm infantilized by people. And it's difficult to do something about and difficult to fight against. And for a long time I had a lot of issues with it because it would bring me good things. Yeah. So I always felt safer as well. So I think I used it as well as a safety net when I was a teenager and when I was in my early 20s.
Have you ever thought about dressing differently or presenting yourself differently to try and combat some of those things? Or has it always been like, this is something I'm willing to put up with because actually being who I am makes more sense?
I don't think I have another option. I cannot. Like, we did a style swap video, my dear wife and I.
Yeah.
And she is a kind of tomboy skater girl type of look. I just felt so uncomfortable wearing her clothes. I was like, what are these? Jeans? Cages for your legs? Horrible.
So how does that intersect with I feel like it's kind of interesting you because it's like how does it intersect with disability and stuff? How does it
intersect with being a gay woman? Yeah,
like
well, I did once get turned away from a feminist event because I went and they were like, and I was like, no, I'm actually a lesbian.
Please, I promise.
But she's like, anyway, and then I've had other things where someone's been like, oh, it's so terrible how women feel they have to dress for men. First of all, I dress for myself.
Yeah.
Secondly, I dress for women. Thirdly, it attracts no one.
In terms of like how much effort gets put in, is that something that you do all the time? Because if you're dealing with like issues of like being ill or having a migraine or doing like all this kind of stuff that might happen to you, do you find that it's something that makes you feel more like you and therefore you want to do it even when you are feeling down, or is it just like no, this goes out the window if I'm feeling not great?
It never. I only have straight hair if I've had a migraine the night before.
Interesting. That's like the one you're like, you can tell.
Yeah, it's my tell. Because I roll my hair. I wash my hair once a week and I roll it. And then I have nicely curled hair all week. But if I have a migraine, I do not. So then it's straight. Because when I'm ill, I'm really ill.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just... I have a snuffle today, but it's just a snuffle. No, when I'm really ill, I'm the kind of like lying in bed, can't move my head because of the pain, literally can't open my eyes. I just vomit every 20 minutes, probably more. Can't get up and go to the loo even. Like, really, I'm really, really bad. So no, I don't put makeup on because I don't do anything.
That's so what's really interesting to me is like the way that gender and like gender presentation and stuff, it's like both a presentation thing where it's like, yes, I have this makeup or this way of dressing or this way of doing my hair, but also it is like an innate feeling.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm not me when I'm really ill either. I'm just a blob. I'm just this blob body.
A blob.
Yeah, so blusher, by the way, vintage blusher, you just put it on the areas where you blush.
I mean, I don't blush, so I don't know where that
You don't blush?
No. My skin is just like pale.
How
like,
do you not blush?
I always have to use blusher, like artificial blusher, because
what
otherwise
happens
it looks
when
like
you're
no
embarrassed?
colour. Nothing.
I get
very embarrassed.
You can be like stealth embarrassed.
Well, I feel like my face would do something awkward, so they'd be able to tell from my facial expression, but not from like colour on my face at all. How's it looking?
Delightful.
Excellent.
You look delightful. My next thing is eyebrows. The funny thing is, I'm really happy going out without makeup. I'm fine. We go to the shops. I don't wear makeup. But I'm either all or nothing. So it's either the entire makeup look or just nothing.
Okay, so what would you say to people who see, like, makeup and fashion as being inherently like without value or like surface level, or do you know what I mean? Like if people are like, if you spend time on makeup and fashion, then you must be shallow or you must be this, you must be that. Your thoughts as you do my eyes, please.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, what a closed-minded thought. It's ridiculous. I think that we all have very different ways of the things that we like to see upon ourselves, and I think that makeup brings many people a lot of joy, and it makes you feel like you are fully yourself, and then that allows you the happiness to be able to go out and achieve your best in the outside world. I cannot stand the comments whenever I don't wear a lot of makeup. Like sometimes I just happily film without wearing any makeup or anything, and the number of people who are like, oh, you look so much better without makeup. Oh, you don't need it. I'm like, I'm aware I don't need it. No one actually is going to die unless they put makeup on their face. Being undiagnosed when I was a child probably added a great thing to my self-esteem. And then I was like, well, I know something's wrong with me, even if you idiots don't. Look at me.
I do think there is a lot of like the whole positives about marginalised identities and like illnesses and blah 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 is a big part of it is the idea of like, so for example being gay, it's like well you've had to go through a self-identity process, like you've had to question and know yourself in a way that a lot of straight people are just sort of taken for granted. So you're like actually having I went on this like kind of interesting course about being gay and being in the workplace and how like that's not just for like, oh, it's a quota, have more gays, but that actually there's something that might actually be valuable about having someone who has had to like, question their identity and get to know themselves and kind of work on themselves in a way that other people might not have. And I feel like you can think like, because it can be such a part of you that you're like, well, because I think that a lot of people say it of people who are very like one end of the gender spectrum kind of thing. So I might look at someone who's high femme and be like, well, you wouldn't do that if you were a boy. But I'm like, well, none of us would. If even a slight thing had changed in our lives, we might not dress a certain way or act a certain way or whatever. Like if you're from a different country that had different ideas around history, that had different things, if you were like, we talked about the idea of like you had a certain body shape and you thought it looked those dresses looked nice on you and stuff. If you happen to have had a different body shape and everything else had been the same, you might have had a totally different idea of like what fashion you wanted to be.
I have a really 1950s body.
But that isn't something that's like should be leveled as a criticism, but I think often it is this idea of like you just think you like dresses, but you don't really know. It's only because of like the way that women are supposed to dress and stuff. And it's kind of like, well, even if it is the case,
even if I had been born male or born in a different body, I think I'd probably still be obsessed with like pretty things.
Exactly. And also like it doesn't. I don't think that should be a way of shutting down women who want to dress away. It should be a way of opening up boys to be able to do that.
I like that.
Personally, my opinion on that.
Right, we're going to have to do eyeliner on you.
Okay, come on. I believe in us.
Thank you. It's always so hard to do eyeliner on other people. Okay, sorry, Tilly has joined us.
Oh,
there you go. Hello, baby. I drew a vaguely straight line, but I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too.
Wait, okay. Open. I'm quite a bad perfectionist. What would you describe your style as?
I really don't know. It's just comfortable.
But that's not true. Because I think if your style was comfortable, it would just be like beige all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't just wear beige cotton.
Yeah, the blue thing is just because I used to, when I had brown hair, I just used to wear blue all the time. That was always a colour. Just because it kind of, like, pretty much any shade of blue would suit me fine.
And then you were like, everything I own is blue.
I might as well do my hair. So originally I was like, oh, I just want like a little bit of blue on the ends or something. And then I was like, do you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go the full way. Okay.
Lips.
How do I prepare?
I'm doing it for you.
Okay, no, but like, do I need to make a shape with
this? There, see? That's what I meant. I was doing it for you. I wasn't just smiling at you. So this is fascinating in terms of filming. Alright, put them together for me.
the like femininity in terms of, because I think a lot of people do question it in some ways, and some people really, so this idea of like, oh, you're doing this thing that women are told they have to be, but I'm like, actually there are so many ways of being feminine, there's so many ways of identifying as femme. Like I consider myself as quite femme, but like we would do each other's makeup and it would be like, oh, this isn't me, like this isn't the right stuff, this isn't who I am. And it's not, because it's not just like makeup in general, or like I just like me, it's like, no, specifically I've made a conscious decision with my identity or with who I am to be like, this is the way that I want to play around with this.
Oh my god, I'd love to have like a modern makeup makeover. That would be so weird. That would
be weird. I mean, it will be weird for me as well because I'm so like basic.
Kind of like sparkly highlight. Okay. Do you want to see your makeup before I do your hair?
No, I want everything. No. Yeah, everything.
Oh my goodness.
Everything is going to be
okay,
completely...
in that case, I think I'm going to do your hair and then we're going to come back.
Okay, cool. So, hair is happening. Back in a second, I guess. Ding. And then, oh, it's going to be done. And we're back. This is me with the hair. I'm also in one of Jessica's dresses, and I still haven't seen myself because I don't have my glasses on. So,
would you like to see yourself?
Yes.
Da 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 da.
Oh, the hair is really cute. And you're right. The lips are weird because they're almost my lips, but they're not quite my lips.
Yeah, so they're overdrawn in the middle, and then they slope down.
Ooh.
It's to give you more of a pout.
Because mine are normally quite like sharp and then angular. Oh, this is so weird. And having eyeshadow on because I never wear eyeshadow. It's so weird because it's like almost my face.
Yeah.
But it's not quite my face. Oh, it's so pretty. Hang on. I'm gonna look in the. I'm like, you're not gonna be able to see my reaction to this. You'll just hear it because the mirror is there. Okay. Hang on, let me get my glasses on.
Like, this is the best bit. She has no idea.
But I feel like with these things and the glasses, I feel like I just look like a 1950s secretary.
You look excellent. The glasses, I think, add to it.
This is so cute. These pins, they're so perfect. What on earth? I feel like if I try and do these,
it's only two pins on each side.
If I try and pin anything into my hair, it's like 80 pins later. I'm like, I guess it's sort of stable-ish, and then it falls down within 2 minutes.
This is lovely. I think it suits you so well.
Thank you.
Oh, there's one thing I forgot to say.
Oh, yeah.
That I thought would be quite good to insert.
Yes.
Although you're already done. The thing is, I always think that people look at me and they know I'm a lesbian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm so obsessed with like feminine things. So I really like to dress in a really feminine way, and I like feminine girly stuff. So I assume they must know that I also like feminine
women. The feminine women.
Like, you know, I'm so into feminine that
that's so obviously. When I first came out, the people at my school were like, you can't be a lesbian because you have long hair. And you can't be a lesbian. Like, don't you want to wear dresses and go and get married? And I'm like, well, at that point I was like, I would love to get married, but you lot have made it illegal, so I can't.
I had 2 wedding dresses, just to put that out there.
Very just peak lesbian right there. But yeah, I do, that's really interesting that it's, I mean, have you found that in practice people realise you're a lesbian, or do you just feel very gay?
Oh, people are always shocked. Same.
Oh
no, I'm a lesbian. So like, where's your husband? My wife is over there.
Here.
Yeah.
Just take her with you wherever you go so you can be like, haha.
Oh, yeah, no one ever expects I'm a lesbian.
Thank you so much for being here and telling me about all of the things.
I love that you said being here. This is my house.
Yeah, thank you for having me here as well. Being here on the channel and here in your house.
Oh yes.
If there's anyone else on the internet who's quite femme presenting, who'd be interested to hear talk about their style and gender and identity and stuff, let me know in the comments. And
is this mainly because you want makeovers?
Listen, yes, first of all, completely. And also because I just think it's kind of an interesting like identity point that I think is, for some people as like feminists, there's this idea of like femininity and feminism just go together. And I like to kind of explore that because I think it's nonsense. So
I agree.
So yeah, until we see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.